The first alien ship appeared above Jupiter without warning. It was larger than any structure humanity had ever built. The dark vessel stretched for hundreds of kilometers and blocked entire sections of space from view. Every telescope on Earth turned toward it. Every government demanded answers. None came. For 3 days, the giant ship remained motionless. Then it transmitted a message. The signal reached every radio, television, satellite, and communication network on Earth at the same time.
People stopped in the middle of streets. Pilots heard it in their cockpits. Scientists heard it in their laboratories. Children heard it in their homes. The message contained only 12 words. Humanity has been evaluated. Humanity has failed. Prepare for assimilation. Panic spread across the planet. Dr. Elena Carter watched the global reaction from the International Space Monitoring Center in Geneva.
The 38-year-old astrophysicist had spent her entire career searching for evidence of intelligent life beyond Earth. Now she wished she had never found it. Around her, dozens of analysts worked frantically. New signals poured in every second. The alien vessel had finally identified itself. They called themselves the Karthan Dominion. According to their transmissions, they controlled hundreds of star systems and thousands of inhabited worlds.
Humanity was not the first species they had encountered. It was merely the newest. President Michael Ross arrived at the command center 2 hours later.
His face looked older than it had that morning.
The public needs answers, he said. What exactly are we dealing with?
Elena pulled up the latest translation data.
The Karthans believe intelligence follows a hierarchy. She enlarged a section of alien text. They classify every species they encounter. The president crossed his arms.
And us? Elena hesitated. We rank at the bottom. Silence filled the room. They consider humans biologically weak, emotionally unstable, militarily primitive. One of the military advisors laughed bitterly. They came all the way across the galaxy just to insult us? No, Elena replied. They came because they think we should belong to them. Another transmission suddenly appeared on the main screen. The room fell silent. An alien figure materialized before them.
It stood over 3 meters tall. Its silver skin reflected light like polished metal. Black eyes stared directly into the camera. There was no emotion in them, no anger, no hatred, only certainty. I am High Executive Valak of the Karthan Dominion. The translated voice echoed through the chamber. Your species has been judged. President Ross stepped forward. Judged by who? By history, Valak answered. Every intelligent civilization eventually discovers its place. Some lead, some serve.
And you believe humans should serve? Valak nodded. It is not belief, it is fact. The alien raised one long hand. Data streams appeared behind him. Charts, statistics, military comparisons, economic projections. Our simulations predict human resistance will collapse within 21 days. Several officers exchanged angry looks. Valak continued. Your governments are divided. Your cultures are fragmented. Your species values individual freedom above collective efficiency.
He tilted his head slightly. Such flaws make conquest inevitable. President Ross remained calm. You know very little about us. For the first time, the alien appeared amused. We know enough. The transmission ended. The room erupted into arguments. Military leaders demanded immediate action. Politicians demanded negotiations. Scientists demanded more information. Elena quietly returned to her workstation. Something about the conversation bothered her.
The Karthans had studied humanity. That much was obvious. They knew about Earth's nations, its languages, its history, its technology, yet somehow they had reached the wrong conclusion. 3 days later, the second fleet arrived. Not one ship, not 10. Over 300 warships emerged from deep space. Humanity had never seen anything like it. The vessels spread across the solar system with terrifying precision. Within hours, they occupied strategic positions near Earth, Mars, and Luna.
No shots were fired. Not yet. The Karthans wanted surrender. They expected humanity to realize resistance was hopeless. Instead, something unexpected happened. Recruitment centers overflowed. Former rivals began sharing intelligence. Nations that had spent decades arguing suddenly found common purpose. Fear existed, but so did anger. General Marcus Hale watched the reports from the newly established Earth Defense Command.
The retired military strategist had been recalled to active service at age 62. He studied the numbers carefully. Humanity could not win a conventional war. Everyone knew that. The Karthans possessed superior ships, superior weapons, superior industry. Trying to match them directly would be suicide, which meant humanity needed another approach. A young intelligence officer entered the room carrying a tablet. "Sir, you need to see this." Marcus examined the intercepted alien communication.
It had been translated only minutes earlier. The message came from High Executive Valek himself. "The humans continue preparing defenses," Valek reported. "Their behavior remains predictable." Another alien responded. "Will they resist?" Valek answered immediately. "For a short time." The message continued. "Humans fear death. Humans fear suffering. Once the scale of our power becomes clear, they will accept their role." Marcus slowly lowered the tablet. Then he smiled.
The officer looked confused. "Sir?" "They made a mistake," Marcus said. "What kind of mistake?" "The worst kind. Outside the command center, millions of people prepare for what might become the greatest war in human history. Factories worked day and night. Engineers developed new weapons. Scientists searched desperately for weaknesses in alien technology. Across Earth, one idea spread faster than fear. The Karthans believed humanity was already defeated. History has shown many examples of powerful enemies making that assumption. History has also shown what usually happened next. Far above Earth, High Executor Valek stood on the bridge of his flagship. The blue planet rotated silently below. Beautiful, primitive, fragile. According to every simulation, every projection, every calculation, victory was guaranteed. Humanity would surrender. Humanity would obey. Humanity would become another obedient world inside the Dominion.
Valek looked at Earth one final time before turning away. He never noticed the small human satellite drifting quietly near his fleet. Inside it, hidden sensors recorded every movement of every Karthan ship. And back on Earth, Dr. Elena Carter stared at the incoming data with growing excitement. For the first time since the invasion began, she had found something. Something the Karthans did not know she had discovered. Something that could change everything.
Dr. Elena Carter did not sleep for 30 hours. The data streaming from the hidden satellite refused to leave her thoughts. Every movement of the Karthan fleet had been recorded. Every communication burst had been analyzed. At first, it looked like meaningless technical information. Then she noticed a pattern. The alien ships were not operating independently. They were connected. Every vessel in the fleet exchanged enormous amounts of information every second. Navigation data. Tactical updates. System diagnostics. Command instructions. The network never stopped. It was as if 300 warships shared a single mind. Elena stared at the screen. The realization sent a chill down her spine. The Karthans had built their entire military around constant coordination. That made them efficient. It also made them vulnerable. She rushed into the command chamber where General Marcus Hale and the Senior Defense Council were reviewing invasion scenarios.
Several officers looked annoyed at the interruption. Elena did not care. "I found something." Marcus immediately noticed the excitement in her voice. "What is it?" She connected her tablet to the main display. The Karthan fleet depends on a centralized communication structure. Graphs appeared across the screen. They constantly exchange information through a network far more advanced than anything we possess. One admiral frowned. "That sounds like an advantage."
"It is," Elena replied, "but it creates a problem." She enlarged a section of the data. "Their ships react slower whenever communication traffic becomes disrupted." The room grew quiet. Marcus leaned forward. "How much slower?" "Only a few seconds. Several officers looked disappointed. Elena continued. A few seconds during battle can decide everything. Now the room paid attention. Marcus folded his arms. Can we disrupt the network? Elena hesitated. Not completely.
Can we damage it? Possibly. The general smiled. Possibly is enough. Across Earth, preparations accelerated. Humanity knew the invasion was coming. The only uncertainty was when. The answer arrived 2 days later. High Executor Valek broadcast another message. This time every screen on Earth displayed his image. Citizens stopped whatever they were doing. Factories went silent. Military personnel gathered around monitors. Valek looked as calm as ever.
The evaluation period has ended. His cold voice echoed around the planet. Humanity has chosen resistance. The alien tilted his head slightly. A predictable error. Images of the Karthan fleet appeared behind him. Hundreds of warships, thousands of weapons. Enough firepower to erase civilization. At this moment, Dominion forces are moving into final assault positions. Valek continued. Lay down your weapons and your species may survive. The transmission paused. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved.
Then President Michael Ross appeared beside the alien image through a synchronized broadcast. His expression was hard. Humanity listened. "So this is your final offer?" Ross asked. Valek nodded. "It is." The president took a deep breath. Then he smiled. The reaction surprised everyone, including Valek. "No," Ross said. The broadcast ended. Across Earth, people erupted into cheers. In cities, in military bases, in underground shelters. Humanity had made its choice.
The war began 6 hours later. Karthan vessels opened fire on orbital defense stations. The first battle was brutal. Human ships exploded by the dozens. Defense platforms vanished in blinding flashes of energy. Entire squadrons disappeared within minutes. The technological gap was obvious. Human pilots fought bravely. It was not enough. General Marcus Hale watched the reports arrive one after another. Losses mounted rapidly. The Karthans advanced toward Earth with terrifying confidence. Exactly as expected. Then Operation Blackout began. Deep beneath the Nevada desert, engineers activated a system they had spent months developing. Massive transmission arrays powered on. Energy surged through hundreds of hidden facilities around the world. A wall of electronic noise erupted into space. The effect was immediate. Karthan communications flickered. Signal traffic became unstable. Ships that normally operated with perfect synchronization suddenly experienced delays.
Only moments. But moments mattered. Human commanders had been waiting. Missile batteries launched. Stealth drones attacked. Orbital defenses concentrated fire on isolated targets. For the first time since the invasion started, a Karthan warship exploded. The destruction appeared on screens across Earth. People stared in disbelief. The alien vessel broke apart and vanished in a cloud of burning debris. Cheers erupted everywhere. One ship. Only one ship. But it changed everything.
The Karthans were not invincible. On the bridge of his flagship, High Executor Valek watched the destruction with visible irritation. Report. An officer quickly approached. Communication disruption detected. Valek narrowed his eyes. Source. We are still investigating. The alien commander remained calm. One destroyed vessel meant nothing. The Dominion had lost ships before. Victory was still certain. Yet something bothered him. Humans were not behaving according to projections.
Their resistance should have collapsed after the first assault. Instead, they seemed more determined. Hours became days. The war intensified. Humanity suffered terrible losses. Several cities were damaged. Millions were forced into underground shelters. Supply shortages spread. Fear spread with them. Yet surrender never came. The Karthans expected panic. What they found was adaptation. Scientists worked alongside soldiers. Engineers collaborated with rival nations. Civilian industries transformed into military production centers. Every setback produced a new ideas. Every defeat produced a new tactics. Valek received increasingly frustrating reports. Human drones appeared where none should exist. Supply convoys vanished. Reconnaissance teams stopped reporting back. The resistance kept changing. Every time the Dominion adapted, humanity adapted faster. 1 week into the war, another disaster struck. A Karthan logistics vessel disappeared near the asteroid belt.
Search teams found only wreckage. No survivors. No explanation. Then another vanished. Then a third. Valek ordered a full investigation. The results made little sense. Human forces were somehow attacking locations far behind the front lines. Locations that should have been impossible to reach. Inside a hidden command center beneath Greenland, General Marcus Hale reviewed the latest success reports. The strategy was working.
Humanity could not defeat the Karthans through strength, so they attacked confidence instead. Every destroyed ship created uncertainty. Every successful ambush forced the Dominion to waste resources. The goal was simple: make the enemy doubt. A young intelligence analyst entered the room carrying new intercepts. "General, we translated another high-priority communication." Marcus accepted the tablet. The message came directly from Valek. His eyes moved across the text.
Then he laughed quietly. "What is it?" the analyst asked. Marcus handed over the tablet. The message contained only one sentence. "Human behavior continues to defy prediction." The general looked toward the giant tactical map covering the wall. Red symbols represented the Karthan fleet. Blue symbols represented humanity. The red symbols still outnumbered the blue. The Dominion remained stronger, faster, more advanced.
But for the first time since the invasion began, the red lines on the map were no longer advancing. They were slowing. Elsewhere, Dr. Elena Carter sat alone inside a research facility buried beneath the Alps. The data from the hidden satellite continued arriving. Every hour revealed something new. Every discovery exposed another flaw in the Dominion systems. Tonight she found the biggest one yet. Her hands trembled as she reviewed the information. This could not be real. She checked again.
Then again, the answer remained the same. The Karthan fleet was not receiving orders from nearby commanders. The commands originated from somewhere much farther away, much farther, beyond the solar system, beyond human reach. Elena's heart raced. If she was correct, the entire invasion force depended on a connection stretching across interstellar space. A connection humanity had never known existed, and every connection could be broken.
Far above Earth, High Executor Valek stood before the observation window of his flagship. The blue world remained unconquered. The sight irritated him. Humans should have surrendered by now. Every calculation supported that conclusion. Every model predicted it. Yet humanity kept fighting. Worse, humanity was learning. For the first time since arriving in the solar system, Valek felt something unfamiliar. Not fear. Not yet. But concern. And concern was often where fear began.
3 weeks after the invasion began, humanity stopped fighting for survival. Now it fought to win. The change was subtle at first. Karthan commanders noticed that human attacks were becoming more precise. Resistance cells that should have been isolated somehow share information with perfect timing. Hidden bases appeared and disappeared before Dominion forces could respond. Every day the humans seemed more organized. Every day the Karthans seemed more confused. In the underground research facility beneath the Alps, Dr. Elena Carter stood before a room full of military leaders and scientists. The discovery she had made was about to change the war. A giant image of the Karthan fleet filled the screen behind her. The invasion force is not operating independently. She pointed to dozens of glowing lines stretching across the display. Every major decision comes from outside the solar system. General Marcus Hale leaned forward.
"You are absolutely certain?" Elena nodded. "The signal is real. We have tracked it repeatedly." One of the admirals frowned. "You are saying their entire fleet depends on orders from another star system?" "Not entirely," Elena replied, "but enough to matter." She zoomed in on a complex network of transmissions. Their commanders make local decisions. Their strategic direction comes from somewhere else. Silence settled over the room. Everyone understood the implication.
If the connection could be interrupted, the invasion force might lose coordination. For the first time since the war began, humanity had a target. Far above Earth, High Executor Valek reviewed casualty reports with growing frustration. 8 logistics ships lost, 4 destroyers damaged, multiple supply routes disrupted.
The numbers were still acceptable by Dominion standards. The trend was not. Humans were becoming dangerous. A communication officer approached carefully.
High Executor! We intercepted another human broadcast! Valek sighed. The broadcast had become increasingly common. Human resistance groups transmitted messages after every successful attack. Most were simple propaganda. This one was different. The recording began. A calm human voice filled the bridge. You came here believing humanity was weak. Images appeared across the screen. Destroyed Karthan vehicles. Captured soldiers. Burning supply depots.
The voice continued. You thought fear would break us. More images appeared. Human factories, military recruits, scientists working around the clock. You studied our technology. The voice paused. You forgot to study our history. The transmission ended. No threats. No boasting. No demands. The simplicity irritated Valek more than any insult could have. He turned away from the screen. Find whoever is responsible. The officer hesitated. We have tried. Valek slowly looked back.
The officer lowered his eyes immediately. Across Earth, hidden factories worked day and night. Engineers transformed captured alien equipment into weapons humanity could actually use. Scientists dismantled every piece of Karthan technology they could find. The learning curve was steep. The progress was extraordinary. In Colorado, a former aerospace engineer named Rachel Morgan stared at the glowing remains of a captured Karthan power core. She had spent 2 weeks studying its structure.
Now she finally understood what she was looking at. The discovery made her heart race. She immediately contacted Dr. Elena Carter. Hours later, the two women stood inside a secure laboratory examining the device. It is not just a power source, Rachel explained. It is part of their communication network. Elena looked up. What do you mean? Rachel activated several displays. The signal passes through these systems. Her finger traced a series of diagrams.
Every ship helps relay information. Elena felt excitement building. If one relay fails, Rachel smiled, the network weakens. Elena stared at the data. A plan was beginning to form. A dangerous plan. A plan that might actually work. Meanwhile, the war continued. Human resistance fighters struck targets across the planet. In South America, hidden units destroyed fuel depots. In Europe, sabotage teams attacked communication hubs.
In Asia, former civilian engineers disabled alien infrastructure from the inside. The attacks seemed random. They were not. Every operation served a larger objective. Every mission gathered intelligence. Every victory revealed another weakness. The Dominion still controlled vast territory, yet maintaining that control was becoming expensive, very expensive. 1 month after the invasion, the first major turning point arrived. A Karthan command vessel entered orbit above the Pacific Ocean.
The ship carried advanced communication systems responsible for coordinating regional operations. Human intelligence had tracked its movements for days. General Marcus Hale authorized the attack immediately. The operation involved everything humanity could spare: orbital missiles, stealth drones, captured alien weapons, experimental jamming technology. The battle lasted only 11 minutes. For 11 minutes, Earth watched. For 11 minutes, human forces threw everything they had at a single target. Then the impossible happened. The command vessel exploded. The shockwave lit the night sky. People cheered from cities, from shelters, from military bases, from places where hope had nearly disappeared. The celebration lasted less than an hour. Then reports began arriving. Entire Karthan sectors were experiencing confusion. Patrol routes broke down. Communication delays increased. Several alien units accidentally moved into hostile territory. Others stopped moving altogether. The effects spread faster than anyone expected. Dr. Elena Carter studied the incoming data. Her eyes widened. The network is more fragile than we thought. General Hale looked at her. How fragile? She pointed at the display. One command vessel created this much disruption. The room fell silent. Everyone reached the same conclusion. Destroy enough nodes and the invasion force could collapse. Far away aboard his flagship, High Executor Valek received the reports with disbelief. His commanders filled the bridge with nervous voices, communication delays, navigation errors, conflicting orders. Nothing catastrophic, not yet, but unacceptable. Valek clenched his fists. How are primitives doing this? No one answered.
Because no one knew. For the first time since entering the solar system, members of the Dominion military began asking uncomfortable questions. Maybe humanity was not primitive. Maybe the evaluation had been wrong. Maybe the war was becoming something else. Those thoughts spread quietly, dangerously. Valek sensed the change immediately. Fear was not the problem. Doubt was. Doubt infected organizations faster than any weapon. Weeks passed.
The momentum shifted. Human victories became more frequent. Karthan victories became less decisive. The invasion was no longer progressing according to plan. One evening, an exhausted communications officer rushed onto the bridge. High Executor, emergency report. Valek turned sharply. What now? The officer swallowed. A major fleet supply station has been destroyed. Valek stared. Destroyed by what?
The officer hesitated. Humans. Silence filled the bridge. The station had been heavily defended. Its location was secret. According to every projection, it should have been untouchable. Yet it was gone. Valek walked slowly toward the observation window. Below him, Earth turned silently in the darkness. The same world he had expected to conquer within weeks. The same world that refused to surrender. For the first time, he began reviewing old intelligence reports personally.
Hours passed, then days. Eventually, he found the mistake. Not a military mistake. Not a technological mistake. A cultural mistake. The Dominion had studied human capabilities. It had never understood human behavior. Humans did not react logically. They did not surrender when defeat seemed certain. They became more dangerous. Much more dangerous.
Valek looked at the growing list of destroyed ships, destroyed bases, failed operations. The realization unsettled him. Because there was no easy solution. Humanity was adapting faster than the Dominion could predict, and adaptation was becoming a weapon. Meanwhile, deep beneath the Alps, Dr. Elena Carter completed another breakthrough. The signal linking the invasion fleet to distant Karthan space had finally been mapped. Not completely, but enough. She stared at the projection.
A single transmission pathway stretched across unimaginable distances. The entire invasion depended on it. Her hands trembled slightly. If humanity could sever that connection, even temporarily, the consequences would be enormous. She immediately contacted General Hale. The old commander listened carefully as she explained the discovery. When she finished, he remained silent for several seconds. Finally, he smiled. It was not the smile of a man fighting for survival.
It was the smile of a hunter who had finally found the trail. Prepare the operation, he said quietly. The next phase starts now. And for the first time since the war began, humanity was no longer reacting to the invasion. Humanity was taking control of it.
2 months after the invasion began, the balance of power had changed. The Karthan Dominion still possessed superior technology. It still controlled hundreds of warships. It still ruled worlds scattered across the stars. But on Earth, superiority was no longer enough. Humanity had learned too much. Deep beneath the Alps, Dr. Elena Carter stood before the largest gathering of military and scientific leaders since the war began. A massive holographic display floated above the center of the room.
At its heart was a single glowing line, the interstellar connection, the lifeline between the invasion fleet and Karthan space. Elena pointed toward it. This is their weakness. The room remained silent. Everyone understood what was at stake. If we break this connection, even briefly, the invasion force will lose access to strategic command. General Marcus Hale folded his arms. How long? Maybe minutes, Elena replied. Maybe hours. One of the admirals nodded slowly.
That is all we need. Preparations began immediately. Across Earth, resistance networks activated. Factories shifted entirely to wartime production. Hidden launch facilities prepared experimental systems based on months of captured alien research. Every scientist, every engineer, every soldier, every civilian working behind the scenes, all of them focused on a single objective: cut the connection.
Far above Earth, High Executor Valek sensed something was coming. Human activity had increased dramatically. Supply routes were disappearing. Reconnaissance probes vanished without explanation. Resistance attacks had become coordinated on a scale he had never seen before. The pattern was obvious. The humans were preparing for something large, something dangerous. He ordered fleet-wide alerts. Warships moved into defensive formations.
Communication traffic surged. Every available asset searched for signs of the coming attack. None found it. Because humanity was not targeting the fleet. Humanity was targeting the mind behind it. The operation began at midnight Greenwich time. Hidden facilities across Earth activated simultaneously. Captured alien technology merged with human engineering. Massive transmission arrays pointed toward deep space. Energy levels climbed. Warning alarms echoed through underground control rooms.
Dr. Elena Carter watched the numbers rise. Beside her stood General Hale. Neither spoke. There was nothing left to say. Months of work had led to this moment. The countdown reached 0. The system fired. A wave of energy surged into space, invisible to human eyes, impossible for the Karthans to ignore. Within seconds, communication systems across the Dominion fleet began flashing warnings. Signal degradation.
Synchronization failure. Transmission loss. On the breach of his flagship, High Executor Valek rose from his command chair. Report. Officers scrambled to their stations. Panic spread across the bridge. The long-range connection is unstable. Navigation systems are desynchronizing. We are losing command updates. Valek felt his stomach tighten. Impossible. The connection had survived centuries, entire wars, solar storms, interstellar disasters. Humans could not disrupt it.
Yet they had. The signal weakened further. Then it vanished. Complete silence. For the first time since entering the solar system, the invasion fleet stood alone. No strategic updates. No reinforcement requests. No connection to the Dominion. Nothing. Across Earth, human intelligence teams monitored the results. The impact exceeded every prediction. Without centralized coordination, Karthan commanders began making conflicting decisions. Entire formations drifted out of position.
Supply ships received contradictory orders. Defensive grids stopped communicating with nearby units. Confusion spread through the fleet like wildfire. General Hale looked at the incoming reports. Then he issued the order humanity had waited months to hear. Launch everything. The counteroffensive began. Human forces attacked across the globe. Resistance cells emerged from hiding. Captured alien ships entered battle. Orbital defenses concentrated fire on isolated targets. The Dominion fought back, but it was different now. For the first time, the Karthans were reacting. Humanity was controlling the battlefield. Hour after hour, the invasion force weakened. Major command ships were destroyed. Supply depots exploded. Entire occupation zones collapsed. Cities once controlled by alien forces returned to human hands. The momentum became unstoppable. On the bridge of his flagship, Valek watched disaster unfold. His officers no longer looked confident.
Some looked afraid. Others looked defeated. The sight filled him with rage. "We still outnumber them," he shouted. "We still possess superior technology." No one answered, because everyone knew the truth. Superior technology had not won the war. Human adaptability had. The realization spread throughout the fleet, and with it came doubt. The same doubt humanity had spent months cultivating. The same doubt that now threatened to destroy the Dominion from within. 3 days later, the final battle began. Human forces located the flagship. the vessel responsible for directing the invasion, the ship carrying High Executor Valak. A combined fleet moved into position. Captured Karthan warships, human defense craft, improvised vessels built during the war. An unlikely armada, but a determined one. Valak watched them approach through the observation screen. Months ago he would have laughed. Now he remained silent.
The fleet surrounding him represented something he had failed to understand. Humanity was strongest when cornered. Every attempt to break it had only made it stronger. The realization came too late. Weapons fire illuminated space. The battle shook the heavens above Earth. Ship after ship exchanged devastating attacks. Explosions lit the darkness. Hull fragments drifted through orbit. Neither side held back. Hours passed. The Dominion fleet slowly crumbled.
One command vessel after another disappeared from the tactical display. Eventually, only the flagship remained. Surrounded, outnumbered, alone. Valak stared at the screen. The war was over. An incoming transmission appeared. Human origin. For a long moment he considered rejecting it. Then he accepted. General Marcus Hale appeared. The old commander looked tired, older than when the war began, but his eyes remained steady. High Executor Valak.
Valak said nothing.
Hyle continued. When you arrived, we offered peace. Silence. You called us weak. Still silence. You believed humanity would surrender. Valak slowly lowered his head. For the first time since the invasion began, he had no answer. The human commander spoke one final time. You studied our technology. His voice remained calm. You studied our governments. Valak listened. You studied our cities. The general leaned slightly forward.
But you never studied humanity. The transmission ended. Minutes later, the flagship surrendered. Across Earth, celebrations erupted. Cities filled with cheering crowds. Military personnel embraced. Families emerged from shelters. For the first time in months, people looked toward the future instead of merely surviving the present. The war was over. Weeks later, the remaining Karthan forces were transported back toward Dominion space, not as conquerors, as witnesses.
They carried records of the conflict, records of every battle, every mistake, every lesson. Most importantly, they carried a message, one that would eventually reach every world controlled by the Dominion. A warning, the same warning humanity had tried to give from the beginning. As the last alien vessel departed the solar system, a newly constructed orbital platform activated a giant transmission visible across space. The message appeared in every known Karthan language. Simple words, impossible to misunderstand. Humanity seeks peace. Humanity does not fear war. You were warned once. There will not be a second warning.